I put together a teaser that I think does a pretty good job at visually representing the artistic flow and the cadence of the film. So I hope you enjoy that.
Quartzsite personalities. That is definitely an interesting question.
Okay.
It's just this little quirky little town in the middle of nowhere. You don't think anything happens because that's what everybody thinks. It's a sleepy little Quartzsite. Nothing happens here. But if you look back and you start peeling back those layers on the onion, you start realizing what's really going on here and what's gone on. It's crazy.
Thank you very much.
Those of us that live here during the summertime, we're considered the oddballs. It's a wide spectrum of who comes here.
Everything. There's no stereotype. I mean, I've met the full gamut of personalities and people and from places. I mean, there's no stereotype at all. It's a true melting pot.
You got your drifters that come in, you got your snowbirds from Canada, you got your, everybody, so many different places, Montana, Minnesota, Illinois, it's just everywhere.
I run an RV park. I've got people from South Dakota. I've got them from Colorado. I have them from Oregon, Washington.
We have a lot of people who come to Quartzsite from all over the country, mostly in the western U.S. And they find a place there. They may not have found a place wherever it was they were, but they found it in Quartzsite.
One day I looked out the garage. Tractor was sitting here and the trailer slightly behind it. It kind of looked like it was hooked together the way they were sitting. And I got thinking I'd build me some side racks and put a top on it, load my stuff in there and head south.
What I meant to do was come through here, spend a day or two, and then head on to Death Valley, and after that kind of take stock and decide what to do next. I ended up staying here for about a month and a couple weeks now and getting a job, so.
Have you met the Naked Bookseller? One of Quartzsite's most well-known residents. He was actually a musician and a comedy writer.
Before I became a naked bookseller on the main street of Quartzsite, Arizona, I spent 25 years as Sweet Pie. I was a naked boogie-woogie and blues piano comedy cabaret performer who worked starting in Vermont in the ski areas, branching out through all New England, into colleges, beach resorts, and coast to coast, and north and south in all the provinces of Canada. And we ended up here, much to my surprise, a town willing to tolerate a naked guy in a G-string selling books on Main Street. Makes Quartzsite a pretty unusual place.
He's a character. Characters like that find homes in Quartzsite.
There's something really special about Quartzsite.
Well, you've met Rain. Okay, she's an eccentric character.
We have a wonderful group of clothing optional campers out in the desert and the BLM camping, and they're called Magic Circle.
But then you have like the nudist colony that we actually have out there.
And that's just another lifestyle that people come here for, and the weather's good for it. I wouldn't want to be in one in Idaho this time of year, so I guess they prefer to come to the desert.
People come here from all around the world, and they just feel drawn to be here.
We've been called here to do something.
I said, hello, Celia. Hello, hello, hello.
I actually met a Chemehuevi elder named Alfredo Figueroa, and he is the keeper of sacred sites with the BLM. He explained that there are sacred sites around Quartzsite. If you look on the map, you'll see the Blythe Intaglios and the Bouse Fishermen. They are they're pretty close in alignment, straight across from each other. And then there's a sacred site up in Parker and another sacred site down near Stone Cabin. He drew it kind of like a kite, and Quartzsite is in the middle of those sacred sites. So people may be feeling that there is something special and they don't even know what it is.
Is there something in the water? Or in the heat? It's crazy.
I would say that the earliest quartzsite that I have any familiarity with started out really with French miners that were here, built a lot of the stone cabins that were here, and did hard rock mining and placer mining. Of course, Indians before that.
This town was established mainly for the people building the Old West, the pioneers traveling to California, coming for the gold rush, coming for the gold here, or to work the steamboats going up and down the Colorado River.
Then following that, you had the more sophisticated mining with bigger companies and people moving in, and you got the Kofa area here. The Kofa Mountains were named for the King of Arizona mine, which was the major activity there. Huge mine. Probably the biggest mine in the area, so it brought in a lot of people, a lot of activity. And then you had what I would say the pioneer families, which were some were part of that, some weren't, that established a lot of the early businesses and activities.
Well, they've got this huge gem and mineral show.
People come to Quartzsite traditionally in the wintertime for rocks and gems. That's the big deal in Quartzsite.
About 2 years ago, a friend of mine had come to me and said, hey, you know, have you ever been to Quartzsite? And I was like, yeah, I was just there the year before looking around. It's pretty cool.
Almost nobody is originally from Quartzsite.
I was ditching winter over there in Montana.
Quartz, I mean, it's right in the name of the town.
But as time progressed, all right, I adjusted my schedule.
They're from Minnesota, Washington, Connecticut, from all over the country.
And since I nomadically all the rest of the year spend time traveling, okay, well that made life easy for me. I could come and survive here in a winter.
Part of the charm of Quartzsite is it's this very transient thing. People are there, then they're gone, then they're there, then they're gone.
And do what I do best is sell. I enjoy the rock life, I enjoy the minerals. It's like a heaven for a lot of us. That's why we're here. It's nothing more than a giant heaven. We've been called here to do something.
And the town just becomes flooded with what we affectionately call snowbirds.
That's all I know what to do, is get on the road and go.
I used to joke, you know, that the entire town is on wheels. You could pick it all up in a day and it would be gone. It's an extreme seasonal swell. So you've got, you know, in the summertime it's just a few thousand people, if that. Sometimes it just feels extremely dead.
The way Quartzsite gets populated is somebody comes out to spend a few weeks or months in the wintertime when it's beautiful there, and then they end up just staying and they become a member of the community.
And then in the wintertime, it's the exact opposite. It's just this throng of people.
The big tent comes in. They just set up with tables, and there's all kinds of vendors.
And they kind of organized the rock activities. They created the Gem and Mineral Show, the powwow, like 53 years ago, and it's been a mainstay of the community.
About how to own foods instead of ordering it online, drying their foods. They're taught that in this place.
People came in to see that, and you started to get the winter visitor thing going on, and then you have the BLM lands associated with that, where you can camp inexpensively and for a long period of time. You couple all that stuff together, and it started to create kind of a loose sense of community and things to do. And that's kind of how Quartzsite grew, kind of almost like Topsy, but it's been always focused on the outdoors, the scenic beauty of the area, the affordability, and rocks.
During the summer months, it has a population of maybe 3,500. But in the winter, it could go up to, well, some winters, some winter weekends, you've got 100,000 people in Quartzsite.
A lot partake in the shooting, they go out in the desert and enjoy that, and it's lots of different draws. Some come, enjoy the off-roading aspect, some just enjoy the peace and tranquility of the desert, some stargazers, some music lovers.
And it's becoming a four-wheel off-road center. It's going to have a 200-mile trail. Campgrounds along it, access to every town, in the western long half of Arizona. That's its future.
If you're living in the Quartzsite area and you have an ATV, you can go explore anywhere, even if you have a walker. And it provides a freedom, and my personal theory is that we're getting very crowded, and although we're tribal as humans, there's a certain amount of need for open space and personal space, and that in itself has a healing component. You have that ability to go in that direction here.
The river's about 20 miles away. The border crossing in Yuma is just an hour and a half.